Who needs this game more? Is it the Finns or the Chiefs?
Oh, definitely Miami. I mean, geez, the Chiefs have nothing to prove. They've won 2 Super Bowls. I understand that Mahomes has never won a road playoff game. You want to make a big deal about that because they're playing for home field? All right, I guess you can use that. And they're coming off a loss where he was not 100%. He was sick. But this is about Miami. Got buried in Buffalo, buried in Philadelphia. They have never won a big game outside of beating the Broncos and the Jets and teams like that. This is about this franchise in a big spot, finally getting a big win. Miami, to me, as a sports fan, much more on their plate than Kansas City. Who's going to sit there and say Mahomes has to win a game? He's he's like one of the greats of all time. This is about Miami on Sunday morning.
Is this a must-win game for the Miami Dolphins, or is it more of a must-win game for the Kansas City Chiefs? There's a lot of talk going on right now after the Chiefs lost to the Broncos last week, and the Dolphins, as you know, the story that's out there that continues to grow is that the Dolphins haven't played anybody. So who is it? Who is the team that's most at risk this week when the Kansas City Chiefs play the Miami Dolphins over in Germany? I personally believe that it is the Miami Dolphins. And here's why, before everybody screams at me. 1984, last time that the Miami Dolphins have been to a Super Bowl. 2023 years ago, the last time the Miami Dolphins have basically won a playoff game. 23 years. I think this entire season is a prove-it season for the Miami Dolphins. The Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes, he's won 2 Super Bowls. Andy Reid, Super Bowl coach. Can't say that about the Miami Dolphins. The only person who's won a Super Bowl ring, I think, is Tyreek Hill. Everybody else is still searching for their first ring. Tua Tagovailoa hasn't even played in a playoff game. So yes, this is a prove-it game, a must-win game for the Miami Dolphins. Take a listen to what the guys on First Take said this morning, and we're going to go ahead and react to that.
Kansas City, to me, needs home field advantage more this year than they've needed it.
Swagoo, I couldn't disagree with you more. I think that you are completely lost with this take. They're about to go up against the reigning defending Super Bowl champions who we all anticipate will be in the playoffs. So the word need with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, I don't think is applicable here. Let's also add the level of pressure, Swagoo, that we're talking about here.
Yes, indeed. That's what I just said. Miami Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in 23 years. Kansas City has had some stumbles this year. They've had some problems with their wide receivers, but they are the reigning Super Bowl champ. You got to give them their props.
You got Tua Tagovailoa leading the league in passing yards and tied for the league in touchdown passes, okay? But what is their record against it in their 6 wins? Their 6 wins, none have come against winning teams. All of them have come against losing teams with a combined record of 13-33.
That narrative is going to continue. That narrative is not going to go away until the Miami Dolphins can show that they can beat a playoff caliber team. I know people are complaining. I know people are whining, but it's not going anywhere. And the media will keep hammering it until the Dolphins take care of business.
That's where all 6 of their victories have come from. But when they went up against competition in Buffalo, and when they went up against competition in Philadelphia, in Buffalo, they got bum rushed. In Philadelphia, they got beat. So I'm looking at it from that perspective. And I'm looking at those 2 losses. All of a sudden, Tua diminishes to 250 yards passing per game with a total of 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he's sacked 7 times. And oh, by the way, they've been outscored 79-37. And
did you know that? Did you know that the Dolphins have been outscored to that level in their 2 losses?
Defensively, they've allowed 9 touchdowns and 12 trips to the red zone. All I'm saying to you is this. Let's look at those numbers. Let's take into consideration the level of competition. So when the big boys show up, you can't be found. When the little boys show up, you stomp them. And we're supposed to celebrate that. Well, the big boys are the ones you're going to play in the playoffs or in games like this. At the end of the day,
he's not wrong. He's not wrong whatsoever. Iron sharpens iron. If you're sharpening against a dull something, some cardboard, you're not sharpening against the best. To be the best, you got to beat the best. Iron sharpens iron. We've heard the cliche, we understand what it means, and as of right now, the Miami Dolphins haven't done that. And now I don't want to hear the complaining, and I don't want to hear the whining. We're going to talk about some of that other factors after we get done reacting to this video, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter. Patrick Mahomes had the flu last week. It doesn't matter. They got beat by the Broncos. Same thing. The Dolphins have to win a big game.
What it comes down to is this. Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, and the crew got to show us they can show up when it counts against a team the quality of what you're going to have to face if indeed you're a legit Super Bowl contender. We can
understand when you get to the playoffs, and I know everybody knows it, but it needs to be brought front and center. There are no weeks off. There are no cupcakes when you get to the playoffs. Every single game, every single week, wild card, divisional round, championship, Super Bowl, you're playing against the best. You got to show that you can be with the best, that you can play with the big boys.
We can speculate all we want about the receivers that either can't get open for Kansas City or can't catch the damn ball when they are. We can definitely lament that, okay? We understand that. You should have probably got a wide receiver if they could have before the deadline passed. But in the end, they're the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. There is Mahomes, there is Kelsey, there is Andy Reid. And when we look at it from that perspective, win, lose, or draw, we're not going to throw any shade on them because we know what they're lacking. In the case of the Miami Dolphins, we're looking at you and we're saying, who are you? You claim to be this until the big-time competition shows up. Then we can't find your asses.
You claim to be this until the big-time competition shows up, and then we can't find your ass. Eloquently spoken by Stephen A. Smith. So now let's look at those mitigating factors that people will bring up. People will bring up, hey, listen, team's been injured. I got into a Twitter or X tete-a-tete with somebody last night talking about this guy was injured and that guy was injured and his mother was injured and the funeral was last week and all this kind of crap. And then after that, he started talking about all the flags during the Philadelphia game. And I'm like, dude, stop. It doesn't matter. I've been in those kind of games. It doesn't matter. It stings. It hurts. It's a part of a 17-game season. Mike McDaniel always says it. It's 1/17 of the season. Get over it. Fans, get over it. Players have to move on from it. It's a part of the season. Injuries are part of the game. Right now, we're going into the 9th week of the season, 9th game of the season. There's 8 more games behind this. Got a bye week as well. Somebody else is going to get hurt. Count on it. You want the safest bet ever in FanDuel? Go ahead and put big money on somebody will be hurt on the Miami Dolphins. God forbid it's not Tua, but somebody will go down. It just as a lot of people are coming back. X-Man's coming back. Ramsey's back. Armstead's coming. Achan's coming. Somebody is going to get hurt. Why do I say that? It's football. It's gonna be football. People are going to get hurt. They don't hit during the week. Then they go full speed in a game. It's football. People are going to get hurt. I keep hearing that during some of these games that the Miami Dolphins offensive line is just decimated, and it's absolutely true. But you still have to remember, these are still NFL players. It's not like they replaced Connor Williams with somebody from Little Sisters of the Poor and just stuck him in there. These are NFL players. And if the NFL players that this team has assembled aren't competent, then you got to start looking at coaching and the GM. I know everybody doesn't like to question that. They say, oh, Mike McDaniel, he's amazing. He's a genius, nerd genius. Chris Greer, he was cooking. Well, if you believe in the GM and if you believe in the coach, they put this 53-man roster together. Do you not think that they knew there would be some injuries? Did you not think? Do you think that they didn't think that somewhere during this 17-game season that X guy, Y guy, B guy, C guy might go down? Are we covered if this guy goes down? Yeah, I'm good with this. Hey, let's trade for somebody because I think we may need some additional help. Mike McDaniel, what was his comment? What was his comment? I think we're good with this roster. What did Chris Greer say when everybody questioned about offensive linemen? You guys are worried about it more than we are. So they were comfortable knowing full well that some guys were probably going to go down. They didn't complain about it. You're complaining about it. This is football. These are professional football players. These are the best of the best. And people talk about second and third string offensive linemen like you just got them off the checkout line at Kmart. Kmart's not around anymore. Walmart. They were doing nothing. They were bagging groceries, and there was a big guy, and they said, hey, man, you want to be a guard or a center? Come on over to Miami, and we'll see if we can't get a uniform that'll fit you, get you going. No, these are NFL players. These are guys who are the top of the top, the best of the best. And every time you demean these guys by saying, oh my God, they beat us with second and third string people, you're actually condescending and talking and denigrating your coach and GM. There's no excuses, man. There's no excuses. These are the players that the GM and the coach chose to put on the roster. They knew full well the liability of the NFL that somebody could and more than likely would get hurt. So all that out the window. The referees, you didn't complain when it went the other way. You didn't complain when, the script got flipped last week and there were some bad calls against the Patriots, or in the first game with the Patriots where they marked the lateral short at the end of the game. Nobody complained then. This is a football season. Things are going to happen, good and bad. But championship level teams push through. Championship level teams keep winning. You don't think that the Chiefs had any bad games on their way to the Super Bowl victory last year? You don't think that the Philadelphia Eagles had any bad games on their way to meet the Kansas City Chiefs? Absolutely they did. But the Dolphins, who have had 20 years, 23 years of nothing but losing, basically, keep making excuses for what's happening. That can't keep happening. This is what we need to do. This game has to be a statement game. Now the good news. The good news is that the Kansas City Chiefs look prime for an upset. The Kansas City Chiefs look gettable. The Miami Dolphins most assuredly can win this game. There is no doubt in my mind that they can go toe-to-toe with Kansas City and come out of Frankfurt, Germany with a win. No excuses, just hard-nosed football and get it done. And in that regard to what the guys on First Take and on Get Up and everyone is saying, the Dolphins don't have a choice. You got to win this game. If you don't beat the Kansas City Chiefs, if the Kansas City Chiefs aren't taking an L on Sunday, the narrative will be stamped in concrete. The Miami Dolphins cannot beat a viable team. It will just be completely, it won't even be a narrative. It will actually be the truth. So I know a lot of people will probably downvote this video or dislike it or complain at Barry's being critical. No, I'm trying to pump you guys up. I'm trying to pump this team up. They don't need me to do it. They got a coach. They've got coaches. They got each other. They know they can win this game. I have no doubt that they can win this game. But I want to say they have to win this game. You want that narrative to stop, not only from the media, but I'm sure somewhere in the back recesses of their minds, some of the players are like, can we win a big game? We need a big win. You know this is a big game for Tyreek. He wants to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a big win for Mike McDaniel. This would be a big win for Chris Greer. They must win this game. Going into this game in Frankfurt, Germany, stats mean absolutely nothing. Dolphins are 6-2. The Chiefs are 6-2. The narrative that's out there that's continuing to be perpetuated is the Dolphins can't beat good teams. It's only up to the Dolphins. It's on their shoulders, squarely on their shoulders, to prove everybody wrong. That's why it's a prove it game. They cannot come out of this game with a loss and contain any sort of composure in the media. The Dolphins must win this game if they want to change that narrative. If they lose this game, no, the season's not over. There's what, 9 more games after that, 8 more games. The season's definitely not over. It's not a make or break reason for them to lose or win because the season's over, but it's a make or break game to make a statement that no, you are a viable team. You can contend for the Super Bowl. You should be thought of with the elite teams in the league, and that none of this was just because you played cupcakes. 23 years of desperation, 23 years of despair ends or could end on Sunday. Let me know what you think. Is it a must-win game for the Miami Dolphins, or is it a must-win game for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Is anybody catching on to this Barry guy?